Be me, 23-year-old feminist working as marketing assistant in city downtown. Don't own car because cars are bad for environment, use rideshare exclusively. Take Uber everywhere, work appointments, social events, doctor visits, everything really. Have been using Uber for 2 years with decent 4.7 rating. Always been talkative with drivers, having conversations during rides, pleasant enough. Start becoming more aware of problematic things drivers say casually during trips. Decide, I need to educate them since I have captive audience essentially. Tell myself that drivers interact with hundreds of people, need good education. Begin correcting drivers on language and assumptions they make during rides. Feel like I'm doing important work educating one driver at a time. First driver I correct is older man, maybe 60, driving to work. He says something about how his wife does all the cooking at home. Immediately tell him that's division of labor, reinforces gender roles clearly. He says they've been married 35 years and she enjoys cooking hobby. Tell him she's probably conditioned to enjoy it by patriarchal expectation society. He goes quiet for rest. A ride drops me off without saying goodbye. Rate him 3 stars for perpetuating gender stereotypes in conversation mentioned. He rates me 2, but don't think about it. Just move on next. Next, a ride driver asks if I have boyfriend, making small talk, innocent. Tell her that's heteronormative assumption. Not everyone dates men or dates. Week later, notice my rating dropped from 4.7 to 4.5, slightly lower. Don't think much of it, probably just some bad drivers rating unfairly. Next driver is young guy listening to rap music with explicit lyrics. Tell him the music is misogynistic and degrading to women, clearly objectifying. He says it's his car, and he can listen to what wants. Tell him, but I'm passenger and shouldn't have to hear women degraded. He turns off music and drives in silence, looking annoyed. Rest of way. Rate him 2 stars for playing inappropriate music in shared space. My rating drops to 4.3 after that. Ride concerning, but still okay. Start noticing more problematic things. Drivers say during rides always something. One driver mentions his daughter is studying to be nurse-proud father. Tell him nursing is feminized profession because society expects women to care. He says she chose it herself. Nobody forced her into it. Decision. Say that choices are influenced by societal expectations and gender conditioning. He seems offended and drives faster to end. Ride quickly, finish. Another driver has air freshener that says, world's best dad, hanging. Tell him that's performative masculinity and reinforces father as special parent. He asks me, what's wrong with being proud of being dad? Explain that mothers do more work, but fathers praised for bare minimum. Month in, and my rating is down to 4.0. Exactly threshold concerning. Start getting notifications that my rating is low and should improve behavior. Feel offended because I'm just trying to educate drivers on important issues. Next driver picks me up, and I see he has Bible verse on dashboard. Tell him that religion has been used to oppress women for centuries. He says his faith is personal and helps him through hard times. Say that doesn't erase the harm organized religion has done to women. He pulls over and asks me to get out of his car. Won't continue, have to order another Uber and write complaint about driver kicking out. My rating drops to 3.8 after he rates me poorly, 1 star. Notice it's taking longer for drivers to accept my ride requests now. Sometimes takes 10-15 minutes when used to be instant couple minutes. One driver accepts, then cancels immediately after few seconds, looking at rating. Happens 3 times in a row. Different drivers all canceling on me. Finally, get driver who picks me up, and he's silent entire ride. Try to make conversation, but he gives one word, answers only short. Ask him why he's being rude, and he says honestly your rating concerns. Tells me drivers can see ratings and 3.8 is really low, red flag. Say that's because I hold drivers accountable for problematic behavior always. He says no. It's because you're probably difficult passenger to deal with. Rating drops to 3.6 and now even fewer drivers accepting requests. Takes 20-30 minutes to get ride and I'm late to work frequently. Boss asks why I'm late so often and I explain Uber drivers' issues. She says maybe I should try different service or figure out problem. Tell her the problem is drivers saying problematic things, I correct them. She looks concerned and says, maybe just ignore it to get work. Say, I can't ignore sexism and misogyny that would be complicit silence. She tells me to figure it out because tardiness isn't acceptable anymore. Start leaving 45 minutes early for work, just to account for wait. Rating drops to 3.4, and I'm getting desperate for rides now. Some drivers accept then cancel when they see me standing there waiting. One driver told me through app that my rating too low. Sorry. Another driver picked me up and recorded entire ride on dashcam highs. Tell him recording without consent is invasion of privacy concerning behavior. He says it's for his protection in case passengers make false claims. Realize he's protecting himself from passengers like me, potentially accusatory ones. Stay quiet. Rest of ride because I know he's recording everything. He still rates me poorly, even though I didn't say anything wrong. Friend needs ride to airport and asks if I can split Uber. Agree and order ride, but takes 45 minutes for driver to accept. Friend is annoyed because we're cutting it close for her flight time. Driver arrives and friend gets in, chatting pleasantly with driver, talking. I correct driver when he says you girls and explain gendered language. Friend kicks me under seat, giving me look to stop talking. Please. Driver goes quiet and drives faster, clearly wanting ride over with. Friend barely makes flight and texts me later, saying never again. Uber tells me my constant corrections made driver uncomfortable. She noticed too. Realize I'm losing friends over this, but tell myself, principles matter more. Rating at 3.2 now, and getting rides is nearly impossible most times. Wait over an hour for single driver to accept my request going anywhere. Miss doctor appointment because couldn't get ride in time to get there. Miss friend's birthday dinner because no drivers would accept my request. Start walking more or taking public transportation when possible instead. But city isn't very walkable and buses don't go everywhere I need. Complain to Uber support about discrimination and low rating unfair treatment. They review my account and say ratings reflect passenger behavior accurately. Tell them I'm being rated poorly for educating drivers on social issues. They say drivers have right to rate passengers based on their experience. Rating drops to 3.0, and I get email from Uber saying account review. They tell me that 3.0 is minimum acceptable rating for passengers using. Warn me that if it drops below 3.0, my account will be deactivated. Feel panic because Uber is my only transportation in this city need. Try to be quieter on next few rides to preserve my rating maintain, but can't help myself when driver makes problematic comment have to speak. Correct him on something small and he immediately rates me poorly. 1. Rating drops to 2.9 and my account gets deactivated, cannot use anymore. Send multiple appeals to Uber, explaining I was just educating drivers. They deny all appeals. Saying pattern of poor ratings from multiple drivers. Try Lyft instead, but my rating there is also low from past issues. Apparently ratings follow you across platforms somehow linked together, system-wise. Lyft drivers also reluctant to pick me up because of low rating. Get deactivated from Lyft within 2 weeks, same pattern of arguments. Try local taxi service, but they're expensive and unreliable in city. Spend $400 a month on taxis compared to $150 on Uber before. Can't afford to keep taking taxis on my salary. Barely making it. Ask friends for rides, but they're tired of my constant corrections. One friend said she can't drive me anymore because I critique everything. Another said he feels like he's walking on eggshells with me watching. Start missing work regularly because can't get reliable transportation there. Boss calls me in and says attendance is becoming serious problem now. Explain that I lost Uber access and can't get rides anywhere. She asks why I lost access, and I explain the rating situation. Tell her drivers were saying problematic things, and I corrected them. She looks at me and asks if I corrected them every single ride. Admit that, yes, if they said something problematic, I addressed it. She says that's probably why your rating dropped and you got banned. Tells me I need to figure out transportation, or she'll have to let go. Give me 2 weeks to solve problem or termination will happen. Unfortunately, desperately try to get Uber account reinstated, sending multiple appeals daily. Explain that I need it for work and will be better passenger. Uber responds that decision is final. Too many driver complaints consistently. Try to sign up with new email and phone number, different account. They detect. It's me somehow, and ban new account immediately flagged. Look into buying cheap car, but insurance and payments too expensive budget. Can't afford car on my salary, especially after spending so much taxis. Ask parents for help, and they ask what happened to Uber. Explain the situation, and dad says I probably deserved the bad ratings. Tell him I was educating drivers, and he says nobody wants lecture. Mom says she would have kicked me out of her car too honestly. 2 weeks pass, and I haven't solved transportation problem at all. Miss 3 more days of work because couldn't get rides there. Boss calls me in and terminates my employment effective immediately today. Tells me reliable attendance is basic requirement. I couldn't meet it. Try to explain about Uber situation, but she says that's my problem. Says other employees manage to get to work on time consistently. Walk out of office with box of my stuff. No job, no transportation. Sit at bus stop for hour waiting for bus that comes eventually. Realize I lost my job because I couldn't stop correcting Uber drivers. Tell myself I was standing up for women, but now I'm unemployed. Month later, still unemployed because can't get to interviews reliably. Missed 2 job interviews because couldn't arrange transportation in time. One company offered phone interview instead, but I really needed in person, living off savings which are running out quickly, spending on taxis. Parents offer to help with money, but lecture me about the situation. Dad says I brought this on myself by arguing with every driver. Mom says I need to learn when to pick my battles carefully. Tell them I was just trying to educate people on important issues. Dad says education doesn't work when you're trapped in car with them. Realize he's right that I had captive audience and abused it. See old coworker who asks how I'm doing since leaving the job. Tell her about the whole Uber situation and losing job over it. She looks uncomfortable and says, maybe I came on too strong. Mention that she uses Uber all the time, and how does she deal? She says when drivers say problematic things, she just ignores them. Tell her that's being complicit in sexism by not speaking up. She says no. It's picking battles and getting where I need to go. Realize she has same values as me, but doesn't alienate everyone. She still has job and transportation and social life intact working. While I'm unemployed, banned from ride shares and running out of money, 3 months later, finally get job that's within walking distance home. Pays less than old job, but at least I can get there. Still banned from Uber and Lyft permanently no way back on. Occasionally need ride somewhere and have to pay $40 taxi each time. Watch other people casually call Uber and get picked up instantly. Realize I took that convenience for granted by arguing with drivers. See woman get in Uber and driver is chatting pleasantly with her. She probably has feminist values too, but doesn't lecture every driver. Meanwhile, I'm walking in rain because I can't access rideshare apps. Learned that educating people works better when they're not trapped. Year later, still dealing with consequences of those Uber arguments before. Never got accounts reinstated despite multiple appeals over time. Trying. Bought used bike to get around, but city isn't safe for cycling. Nearly got hit by car twice and gave up on biking entirely. Rely on walking buses and expensive taxis when absolutely necessary only. Spend twice as much time commuting as I did with Uber access. See my old rating and email notifications, 2.9 permanently banned forever. Think about all the drivers I corrected over those months many times. Probably didn't change single person's mind, just annoyed them all completely. Realize I mistook captive audience for teaching opportunity when just inconvenience. Still believe in calling out sexism, but understand approach matters now. Arguing with Uber drivers who just want to finish shift wasn't effective. They rated me poorly, and I lost access to essential transportation service. Lost my job because couldn't get to work reliably without Uber. Spent months unemployed because couldn't get to interviews on time. Current job pays $15K less than old job because limited by walkable. Tell myself I was standing up for principles but really just lectured. Learn that educating works better when people choose to listen willingly. Captive audiences in cars aren't learning opportunities. They're just awkward. Now, I'm cautionary tale about losing essential services over constant arguing.